Of course, in the last couple of weeks, Democrats have been looking very hard inward as to where they go next as leadership takes its shape for the Congress. There's a lot of questions to be asked. Let's bring in my guest tonight, former New York Democratic legislator Josh Lazafan, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Josh, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So the last time we had you on the show, it was before the election, talking about where Democrats need to appeal. Was it the mail vote? Did they have a messaging problem? We learned it was not just a mail vote. It was just about everywhere.
Yeah, Democrats had a rough night across the country, right? And so it's important when we have failures in any industry in life, when you have a failure, you do the requisite autopsy and say, what went wrong? And of equal importance, how do we chart a path forward? What's been frustrating for me as a Democrat is that I think that the pretty obvious conclusion from election night is that we as a party have turned off a huge swath of voters from all different walks of life. And some in the party are saying that they want to double down, that Kamala Harris lost because the party wasn't progressive enough. They weren't extreme enough. And to me, it's the antithesis of that. It's the fact that the left wing of the party, and not just at the national level, at state levels and at municipal levels, has turned off so much of the electorate that if we double down, we may never win the White House for the next 2 decades.
And, you know, a lot of people are looking at New York, for example, not just statewide, but a lot of these local races, a lot of these legislative races out on Long Island, where they thought maybe with redistricting, those might be key to flipping the House back. It wasn't the case. Democrats did take back at least one seat out in your neck of the woods. But are there lessons to be learned on the state level as well that could translate to that national front that they're going to have to put together in 2 years?
Yeah, listen, it wasn't all bad news. Tom Suozzi, who's my congressman, my friend, got reelected. We picked up a bunch of seats in New York, but the state that went further for Trump than any other state was New York. And Trump gained more in Democratic states than Kamala gained, of course, in Republican states. And so what I talk about here is we didn't lose the election just in the last 3 months. We lost the election in the last 3 years. And you mentioned a place like Long Island, in the suburb here in New York. It's not just because of Kamala Harris and her performance as a candidate. How many people in New York were pissed off that because of bail reform, criminals are re-released onto the streets and they're afraid to take the subway or they're afraid to walk alone at night? How many people of good history were pissed off that the statue of Thomas Jefferson was removed from the New York City Council at a time when we're banishing what is important history? How many people were outraged that Democratic politicians across the country said that parents didn't have a right to have a say in their kids' education? So I think as Democrats, our national policy matters, our state and local policy absolutely matters. Maybe more, right? Kamala Harris won New York by 11 points, right? That is not a huge margin of victory, right? If you look at her favorables, it's concerning. And then if you look at Governor Kathy Hochul's favorables, she has a 32% favorability rating in a Democratic state, right? And so my message to Democrats is if we take voters for granted because they live in a blue state, you're going to continue to see creeping gains from Republicans. And most importantly, Jim, Trump gained with every single minority community. He gained with Black Americans, he gained with Asian Americans, he gained with Latino Americans, he gained with Jewish Americans. And so Democrats have to take a look in the mirror and say, what in the world went wrong and how do we move forward to stop the bleeding?
And there's been a lot said about older leadership in the party. Nancy Pelosi has been vocal after the election. A lot of Democrats are saying, well, hey, you're the reason that you may be the reason that Joe Biden wasn't on the ticket. Did that do any damage to us? But the reality is, Josh, we just elected the oldest. After electing the oldest president ever, we just elected the oldest president ever. Oh, by the way, and the oldest president ever. So what's the next generation look like?
Sure. So it's funny because pollsters, that I guess they never take a vacation. There's already polling out for the 2028 Democratic candidates, and the number one candidate in that poll was Kamala Harris. So whether it's Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom or Wes Moore in Maryland, Democrats have an exceptional roster of governors and members of Congress who are part of this next generation. Of course, I hope Mayor Pete, now Secretary Pete, takes a look at the DNC chair because we have to look at who's going to lead our party. But in terms of the next generation, I think we have to look at young people because young people are not a monolith, and young voters won't just vote for a candidate because they're young. We know that young voters, especially male voters, voted for the old guy, right? They voted for Trump because they, for whatever reason, whether it was within the right-wing media ecosystem on podcasts like Joe Rogan, or they just appreciated what Trump was saying. Young voters are leaning more conservative than in previous generations, and that's a trend that has the ability to hurt Democrats for decades going forward.
Josh Lazafan on the Final Five. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
We're back after this.